Thank you, Laurie. And good morning again. Thank you again to Exabyte. This is a good opportunity for all of us to introduce ourselves and also the product, which is really Google Analytics. Before I continue, I would just remind everyone that I will be flashing out a QR code at the end of the session, which carries the handbook. So why I'm saying this now is so that all of you do not have to quickly, take notes, or in case you're missing out, don't worry about it. There will be a handbook. The handbook will have all, if not more, than what I'm going to cover today. So analytics is a huge topic in today's session. What I'll be sharing with you is how you can use web analytics to better understand how your customers are engaging with you on your website, so that you, as a business owner, as a business yourself, can provide a better online experience to your customers. All right, so what are we going to cover today in general? So web analytics tools have changed the way we make decisions in digital marketing world, in fact, in any digital business world. Now, thanks to web analytics, we now have the ability to know exactly what our customers want. No more guessing about what they want, what the users want, what the customers want. You can now get detailed information on anything you want. You can optimize your digital activities to, keyword, increase ROI, improve your user experience, and do a number of other things that you never thought you could, just to move your business forward. Now, the keyword here is Google Analytics is a free tool. And it's the most widely adopted web analytics tools in the world today. Now, let me set the stage right, yeah? So getting data today is no longer a problem. In fact, we have big data. So Google's opportunity is to take this huge amount of data and make it manageable for people like you to enable you to interpret them. Now, the idea really is so that we can find interconnections, whether it's a pattern, a theme, or a trend, and build in context for genuine understanding. Ultimately, for you, what you want to do is to be able to take actionable insights, not just insights, and really make actionable items out of them, so that you can either prove or disprove your hypotheses. You always make an assumption of what your business are, how your audience are, what kind of customers you have. This will help you prove or disprove what you believe or assumed in so far. Now, measurement always enables us to grow. Now, the question really is what kind of measurement and how do we do that? With the rapid change in consumer behavior during the period like now, you're talking about SOPs literally created on a daily basis, businesses must be useful to meet the relevant needs of your customers, your consumers. So what measurement can do is to help you capitalize on the change, on these behavior changes, on the change of SOPs, on the change of really what is demanded in the world today to grow your business. So you need to get three things right? First, let's take a look at the basics. Getting the data right consistently. It's not just getting the data right once, but consistently. We need to ensure that there is stakeholder trust in data reliability across joint data sources. Now, measurement is what matters now. You can start measuring what matters and not guess. Yeah, so you have now a defined or clear understanding and a clear customer KPI that you can set. So that's the basic. Next is the insight. We now have better understanding of the media performance with the insight. We have better understanding of marketing spend with the insight. And basically, in the context of the entire customer journey, you can now leverage machine learning basically through your business intelligence stack. And lastly, it's about taking actions. So when we are able to have the proper insights, you're now able to optimally allocate scarce resources for action, scarce marketing resources, you're talking about scarce budgeting, scarce human resources, scarce skills. You're now able to optimally allocate them based on the insights that you have and find the most important prospects and convert them to customers to maximize the lifetime value. I see questions coming in, so don't worry, I will respond to them once I get through with the deck, because I need to finish this in an hour. Usually a session like this takes about an hour and a half. I promise to make it shorter. So and one of the things I try to do at best, my ability, is to make sure we don't make analytics any more daunting or complex as it is. I try to make sure I present to you from a business angle. I'm a business owner myself, so I can tell you how fearful it is just to hear analytics. So I'm going to try to make them as layman as possible. All right. So how do we do that? How do we get the measurements right? How do we get the basics, the insights, and the action? Really, advertisers across the world are using web analytics tools, and this is to help them make informed decision on business, on their website, on their advertising, etc. So Google Analytics, again, as I mentioned, is by far the most popular web analytics tools used by many advertisers. While it may seem very complex and daunting at the start, my promise to you is to make it simpler. You'll be able to master it in just a few steps if you start. The problem is self-defeating. A lot of us are so afraid to begin, and that's where you will never learn. So what I urge you to do at the end of today's session is just to start. Take that first step. So Google Analytics can help you answer a vast range of questions, and you've been meaning to ask some, and some you never thought you could ask. I mean, example questions like, do you know where your visitors are coming from when they come to your website? Where do they click from? Where do they land at? And understand how your customers better, know your customers better, like what they did within your website. It's almost like stock mode of them inside your website. It also helps you measure the effectiveness of your online and, to some extent, your offline marketing efforts. So beyond showing you statistics that can help you measure your marketing, analytics can show you how people are interacting with your marketing channels, the various marketing channels that you are currently investing in. So I'll give you an example. Let's assume this is Jane. Jane is the pretty lady that's online, and she sells t-shirts online, and she uses Google Analytics. So what can Jane do with Google Analytics? She's able to see a person's entire journey on her website. For example, she can see when someone clicked on the link to her site, where did that person come from, and if it's from a social media platform or from an ad, she could see that. She could also see this person visited the site, searched on a few products, left the site, but came back a week later to buy a t-shirt. Imagine this. If you have a brick and mortar shop right now, this is you with a salesperson with your eyeballs looking at this person coming in, looking and browsing at the area, go out, come back a week later and buy something. You can now do that to every single person that visits your site. So analytics does this by letting you create a special link to put into the social media and other places that aren't your site. Excuse me, I'm gonna get a drink. Okay, so to those links that you're tracking the people who are visiting your website, where they're coming from, you're now able to see the entire journey of a person on this website. In fact, you can also find out which social media postings. I'll give you an example, right? You're looking at this person coming into your website and you say, wow, I've got a lot of people coming from my social post, and the social post is getting a lot of action. But I'm also running search ads. Why is my search ads not bringing in enough people? With this information from the analytics, you are now able to say, let me go and take a look at what my search ads are doing. Maybe there are some things that I can improve. It could be the keywords. It could be me looking at the audience. It could be me, maybe doing the copy a little better. And once that is fixed, you can also take a look at how effective it is. In fact, once this is fixed, Jane was going, oh, I see a lot of things coming from social. I'm not seeing things from search. Now that I've fixed my search, I see a lot of people coming from search now. So great, I can basically improve as I go. It's no longer a post-mortem. In the old days, advertising is about post-mortem results. So you see the result after you spend all your money and all your time, and then you say, how can I do better? But with digital marketing, with the help of analytics, you can improve as you go and find out where the gaps are and actually just fix them as you go. So what Jane could do is she could see, oh, I can see now that people are coming from basically from search, from social, everything is great. But why is it that they've put a lot of items onto the shopping cart, but they never actually buy them? They never actually complete the sales. And then she went into the shopping cart and realized, I could simplify my entire checkout process. And that's what you can do as well with your ability, basically with analytics. You can do that by looking at the entire cycle. Okay, I've just showed you what analytics can do. I bet you are thinking, okay, you want to get yourself signed up. And what I'm going to help you to do with a very quick look is how you can set up a free Google Analytics account. Before we jump right into it, I mean, really, it's just step 1, 2. That's how easy it is. Before we jump right into it, I'm just going to cover very briefly about the latest Google Analytics 4. Okay, so any one of you who already have Google Analytics account today, if you have started your account, say, pre-October 14, 2020, you're probably running Google and Universal Analytics, which is the past version, the previous version. Today, if you're starting a new Google Analytics account, you'll be running on Google Analytics 4, which has Google Analytics 4 properties. So whatever I'm presenting to you today will be based on Google Analytics 4. Okay, so let's go into starting your account. Very simple. First, what you need to do is just open any web browser and go to google.com/analytics. That's simple. Don't worry about writing all this down. Remember the handbook, it's all this going to be in the handbook and more. So to create an account, just when you're on a website at google.com/analytics, just click start for free. I should also let you know, this is something that I made a mistake when I first started Google Analytics many years ago. I've used my personal account. So remember, always avoid using personal email accounts, email addresses, and use your company or your business address. Why I say that? You won't want to be recognized as a financial services company, but led by an account called fluffybunny123@gmail.com. So that's really why you want to avoid using your personal email address, and also in the future, as your business grow and you want to give more permission to other people, you want to make sure that you don't end up giving your personal account detail out. So that's why it's always important to start with the business account. So once you've clicked start for free, you are now led to a setup page. In the setup page, on the left navigation bar, click on the admin button at the bottom left. Then in the account tab, which you're going to be shown, create account. Just click on that. You will then be led to an account name creation. This is where you enter your account name, and this is where you enter your business name. Select then a data sharing option. So basically there are some data sharing, whether you want to share some information, just select them and then click next. Again, still very simple, very easy to understand. This is the next step, which is where you will enter a name for your property. I will explain to you what property means, but let's go through this, yeah? So remember, in one account, you can access more than one property. In the old Universal Analytics, you will need to create one properties to one account, which I will show you how, which that was the past. But today you can actually have more than one properties. So that is really the improvement or enhancement of Google Analytics 4. The property can represent your business app. It can also represent your website. So that's what it does. Now, finally, you share more information about your business before you click basically start, or you click create. And what are the information that you'll be sharing? You'll be sharing things like number of employees, what is the purpose of analytics, what do you want to do with that? And the whole reason why you're sharing all this information is so that your experience with Google Analytics will be optimized to your business and your needs. Okay, now, I just want to take a step back to explain to you what are the differences between what we meant by the account, the properties, and etc. So this will give you, well, a general idea of what you're looking at, and then you can apply it to your business. So here's an example of what we call an account structure, and it's done filled in with a company that sells online game. So the online game, basically the game name is called Flooded. So this is an example of a account structure. The uppermost level called the account is what we call the account level containing all the analytics properties. So in this instance, under account, this company has indicated Flooded as the game name. Under properties, it represents the containers of all the reports based on the data you're collecting from, whether is it the app or the site. If you remember earlier, I said that the properties can capture your data from the app, if you have an application, or from your site, which is a combined view is able as well for Google Analytics 4. So with Google Analytics 4, the properties represents either an app or a website. For example, this instance, Flooded has a game that is being sold on Google Play Store and App Store. And this is what's indicated right now. You see that there is a mobile game app called Flooded, and you might also want to add a website. In this instance, this company has a website, a marketing website that pushes or markets or advertises the game online. So this company has created a property for the marketing website and also a property for the mobile gaming app. When you use a property to represent an app, you should always represent a single logical application like a single game. I say this because in this instance, this company probably has multiple games, Flooded, Sunshine, or whatever, right? So many different games, and you would want to create different accounts to different games and not try to put everything into one, because it doesn't make sense. A single logical application of the same game on different platform is what you're ensuring you're doing, else you're not looking at the data appropriately. So in properties, under properties as a channel, you will look at data streams, and what you see in these data streams are a data stream flow of data from customer touchpoint. In this instance, you will see a data stream that's coming from web, a data stream that's coming from iOS, and a data stream that's coming from Android, which are the three data streams. When you create data streams, basically analytics generate a snippet of code that you add to the app or to collect the data. Please don't freak out. I will teach you how to do that. In fact, all these fear of different terms or different technical terms you're hearing, it's not so fearful when you see the logic of it, and I'm hopefully at the end of today's session I show you the logic. If you're collecting data for a single logical application on multiple platforms like an Android or an iOS, you can then create different streams for each of your platform. So that's what you can do, which is what Flooded, the company, has done. So the process of collecting data, analytics data, is really pretty straightforward, and here's where I'm going to show you a step by step. Yeah. So I mean, for you to understand how does Google do it, I mean, how does it work? So to track a website, the first you need to do is, of course, create an analytics account, which I've just showed you how. Very simple. Then you need to add a global site tag. Okay, don't freak out. Global site tag, let me tell you in layman's term, it's almost like you having a passcode. You want to enter into a space and collect data. It's just like you want to enter into a space and get permission to go in there. So a global site tag, it's like a passcode, a permission-based passcode where you can go in there and access the data that you want. So global site tag allows you to go into a page or a website to access the data that's coming out from the site. So every time a user visits a web page, the global site tag, which we call the gtag.js, don't freak out, that's actually a code, will collect anonymous information about how this user interacts with the page. So when the global site tag collects data, it packages the information into basically reports that Google Analytics will process and present to you, and then you can make sense out of them, layman sense. So again, you know, global site tag, if you're sitting down there and going, oh my God, this woman's going to talk about a lot of coding, just imagine it as a passcode or a password for you to enter and get permission, okay? Now, what is a global site tag, you're going to ask me? Really, it's a code. It's like a JavaScript code that you need to copy and paste into your web pages. If this is totally alien to you, chances are you have a web developer, and if you have a web developer, your web developer will know exactly what to do if you tell them that you want to add your global site tag or your Google Analytics tag to it. So Google Analytics will only have access to your website. Remember I say once you've given it permission. So after you've added the global site tag correctly, each of these page will fire information to Google Analytics so that Google Analytics will present to you in form of reports. If you're using a website builder and you don't have a web developer, a lot of website builders have the capabilities for you to copy and paste the measurement ID, which is what we are using in GA4, into Google Analytics for you, basically for you to add into your web builder. So the web builders will provide a space or an ability for you to add this. I have checked, there are many, or if not more, 90% of the CMS tools all are able to do that, and you just have to work with them directly how to do it, okay? It does take up to 24 hours. Now I use the word up to 24 hours, but in my instances, for the few basically tags that I've added onto my different websites, about an average of less than 2 hours is what I have experienced, but it does take up to 24 hours for your analytics tag to work or to start firing information, okay? Now to set a data stream in your property, so I've stopped at data, how do you set a property? Now we're talking about how to set the data stream. You saw the entire chart earlier, the account structure. So we'll set the account, I've showed you how to set the properties. Now we're going to talk about data stream. To set the data stream in the property, click admin again and then navigate to the property column. In the property column that you've set earlier, click on data streams. Depending on your data source, you can choose either one of these or all of it. Either one, which is web, your iOS app, or your Android app. So you can see from the image here that there is an option of web, app, Android app, and iOS app. For this module, I'll focus on web, just so that we have 1 hour to finish, right? So for this module, we'll focus on tracking your website. So once you clicked on web and click next, you will need to enter your URL, which is the primary URL that you are using. So in this example, it could be example.com, whichever company name that you have. And then under the stream name, you can call yourself, example company or example web stream. I would always advise people, especially when it comes to stream name. When I first started, since stream name is not required, URL has to be accurate, but the stream name could be anything. I started calling it stream A, right? Stream A, and then the next time I try another one, I say stream B. It's fine if you're starting off doing that for fun. But once this becomes a year later, you're going to have to start figuring out what was your stream A, stream B, stream C, stream D. And if you start having other staffs managing with you, they will have to start figuring out what they were. So it's always good to at least have the stream name, relating to what you have just started. So for instance, in this case, if example.com is the company and you are checking the web, which is what you chose earlier, at least call it example web stream, or example.com web stream, as an example. You have the option to enable or disable the enhanced measurement. So enhanced measurement is basically what you choose right after you have inserted your stream name. It is automatically set as turned on as default. And I'd say I would keep it on simply because it collects a lot more data that you do not know where to start. So a lot of times people are saying, okay, I need to collect data of people visiting my page. I need to collect data of visitors clicking on something. There are a list of things that you need to collect, but what if you are new, and I think a lot of us are, and you don't even know where to start to collect the data. So keep this on and collect more data than you actually need, but at least you are able to use this data and churn out. Remember, if you never list some data to be collected and you want it later, it will only be collected from the point you say you want it. So I would always click on yes for enhanced measurement to collect as much data as possible, and then later start filtering what I want to see. So that's what I would do. So once you're done, once you're ready, you just click create stream to complete your settings for data stream. So we've done all that, and now you have a data stream going. So what I'm going to do right now in the next few minutes is to show you how to navigate around Google Analytics. Basically, how do you look at the Google Analytics tool, okay? So what we're going to do is to look at first the report. So if you click on report on the left navigation, click on report, it will open up a list of reports that you will see. The reports are organized as follows. You will see report snapshot, you will see real time, and then you will see a number of report collections and topics. I will go through each of them in a more detailed manner later. So in the same, helping you to look at navigating through Google Analytics, in that same screen, you will be able to see what we call a search bar. So the search bar is where you can search for reports and help content. These is examples of searches for any instant answers that you have, reports that you might be looking for, admin pages, insights, could be account or property configuration. You might be saying, teach me how to create my property again, and then it will actually show you a link for you to go and learn how to create your properties. So search for help content is all a great space for you to go to, okay? So on the top right hand side of Google Analytics, there are 3 little buttons at the top, and this is where you see a product link, a help button, and also the account management button. So by clicking the product link, you can switch between your Google Marketing Platform product. And for the start, if you are new to Google Analytics, chances are you might not have that many marketing platform products that are in line, but once you become more familiar and you have more, you'll probably be switching between Data Studio, your Google Slide, your Tag Manager, your Google Analytics, and multiple Google Marketing Platform products that are online. So at any point in time, if you feel lost, you can click on the help menu button. What's the difference between this and the search button? The help menu button is managed by a bunch of humans and not robots. So you literally have inquiries addressed by actual human being on a timely manner, and not just like the search bar at the top earlier, that would be a robot answer. You can also then send product feedback or some questions like, oh, I've done this, but I'm not seeing the result like that. Can you tell me where I've gone wrong? And someone will actually advise you, which is a great tool if you ask me. So to manage your account, on the right hand side button, the last button, that's where you can sign in and sign out your different account and change your users, because some of you may be multi-managing different analytics sites or different websites. So you may be switching from one account to another, and that's where you go to. Then you will be seeing a list of buttons at the bottom, right, which is on the right hand side as well, just right at the bottom of the first three buttons earlier. The edit and share option, which is available here, can allow you to edit and share your reports. Basically, what you can do is compare your data sets by clicking on the edit comparison. You can be comparing data of a certain period of time or data of a certain page. So if you want to share a report to your team members, share it with your team members, or share it with your colleagues, or even with your web developer, for instance, you can click on the share button, copy the link, and just share. Very simple. The last button, we call it the insights button, and this one is where you will get two types of results, or two types of automated insights versus custom insights. So analytics intelligence is a set of features that uses machine learning and conditions where you can configure to help you understand and act on the data. What analytics intelligence provide, that two types of data. One is automated. What do you mean by automated? Is it detects unusual changes or emerging trends in your data and notifies you automatically according to trends. So unusual changes and trends, emerging trends within that automated insights. If you have specific requests, I have specific insight, and most of us at the start will not have this request, but as you become more expert or more confident, then you will start creating your own custom insight. This is where you create conditions that detects changes to data, to information that you feel is important to your business that is not in the regular automated insights. Okay? So I'm just going to take one step back and say, what happens if you run a program with goals, or without goals, I would say. In truth, what are business goals, right? So in Google Analytics, just like anything else, you have mountain of data, you have mountain of information straight out of the box, and that's a great opportunity for business where you have all this data. But in order for you to really make use of this data, you need to have actionable items, right? Which, remember, I said that it's not about how much you know, but what you can do with how much you know. But what you can do with how much you know is always depending on what particularly goals you have. So a lot of people always start by saying, I want to do marketing, let's run an ad. I always go back to the client. I run an agency, so I can tell. I go back to the client and I will say, before you tell me you want to run an ad, tell me what you want to hope to achieve, because maybe it's not this type of ad. Maybe it's not an ad at all. So it's always important to know that you're measuring progress towards a goal. That means you will want to customize anything, even on analytics, to make sure that you're tracking what matters to you to reach your goals. So for instance, right, you have created a website for a reason. Some people create a website to sell. Some people create a website to build loyalty. Some people create a website to maintain a set of audience or database, or even blog site, right? So you know exactly the purpose of you creating your website. Now, you have to make sure that your goals are being defined even in you pulling the insights from analytics, which is why we're hoping that all that you're measuring on with your web analytics is to meet that goal that you hope to achieve. So from analytics point of view, to achieve your goals is to set up certain events. And what do we mean by events? So we set up events to identify actions that you want users to take that will actually meet your goal. So a completed goal is known as a conversion event. So this is terms. These are terms which I will try to make it more layman. So it's almost like you have a goal that you want to set for your business, and your goal could be, I want to cut a sale, which is for an e-commerce site. Making a purchase is a goal, for instance. The conversion that you want someone to do, basically for me to meet a successful conversion, is to cut a sale. So for an e-commerce site, that would be your conversion. For a mobile gaming site, it could possibly be downloading a game as your goal. It could also be get to level 8 as your goal, right? So that once you get to level 8, the people will start using coins to buy certain I guess add-ons, and that's why you want to achieve. You want to make sure that they don't just download the free game. You want them to reach a certain level. That could be your goal. So that is your successful conversion. So another type of goal that people want to achieve could possibly be submitting a contact information for you to generate a lead in the future. So the contact information form could be to download white papers, to download some tips and tricks, and once you have their details, their contact information, you can then start focusing on communicating with these people. So that could be your conversion as well. So any goals that you set, any actions you want them to take, that is your conversion once it's successful. Defining goal is as fundamental as in digital advertising as in any of your marketing campaigns. So it's always saying that, if you want to make sure you want to meet your goals, you have to define them so that every actions that you take will actually be meeting the goals that you want in digital analytics. I beg to differ. I think it's not just in digital analytics, but in any measurement plan. And in marketing plans that you do, goal definition is fundamental. Now, having properly configuring your events conversion, which is your goal setting, allows analytics to provide you with critical information, such as numbers of conversion and the conversion rate on your website. So if you've defined and set certain goals that you want to achieve, these conversions that you're trying to get, that will bring you there. So without this information, it's almost impossible to evaluate the effectiveness of your online business and marketing campaign. So before we can make an event as conversion, you will need to create an event. An event are user interaction with content other than page views. So you're looking at downloads, link clicks, form submissions, windows, basically maybe you have a video play that you want someone to do, and these are all some of the events that you may define as conversion. So example, you might want to, I'll give an example. You want to measure the people who have clicked on your thank you page that you have sent. Maybe you have sent an email to say thank you for coming for today's event, and you want to measure how many people click on that and came to my website to view, and I want to measure that. Then you can set your goals based on people clicking on that thank you mail and all the way into your page and basically viewing the page that you have. So that could be a goal. So how do you set basically an event? So to create an event, you can click on configure and navigate to events, and then click create events. Set the condition and parameters in the configuration as step 3. I will tell you that step 3 may sound very straightforward and simple, just rattling it out, but use the handbook. It will teach you how to define parameters in the configuration, because some parameters may not be it'll be really new to you, and once you understand it, if you look at the handbook, it will show you a video, a 2-3 minute video to show you what are the parameters. You will understand. It will become natural to you to say, okay, I understand now I know how to set it. Once that's configured, click conversion, and then click new conversion events, enter the newly created events to mark as conversion. Really, these 6 steps is what you need to do. Very simple, but step 3, I would recommend, just from a layman again, I'd recommend for you to look at what sort of parameters you'll be setting. Okay, now that we understand how Google Analytics can help you, I would just take you guys through a really quick guide to understand the dashboard. So earlier I mentioned about reports, so this is where we're going to go through. So the dashboard shows you real time and a bunch of other reports. What I'm going to do is to just walk you guys really briefly what are things that you'll be seeing. So real time lets you monitor activity. What you can see in real time, basically this chart here, the activities on your app or your web that is happening in the last 30 minutes. So 30 minutes and onwards, yeah? So 30 minutes and onwards, which is what you will be viewing. With real time, you can immediately and continuously monitor the effects that your new campaigns or maybe your new site or maybe your new page is doing. You can see whether your one-day promotion is driving traffic. You can also monitor the immediate effects on traffic from a blog, perhaps even from a social site. You can also monitor whether there are new or changes in terms of traffic because the content has changed. You can also verify the codes. Remember the earlier codes that you have entered, whether it's working or not on your site. So these are the things that you can do. So things to keep in mind though, real-time lets you see at least the user, as I mentioned, last 30 minutes onwards, which shows you users that are on your website. So new users, it also shows you new users, which shows users on your site for the first time. It does track that naturally. It also does show you users, which shows you returning users, people who have come to your website before, and basically analytics has processed this user before and will show you this guy is coming back. So new users, first time users are people who have come back, and then returning new users also, basically it will be able to flag that out. Now, all this is assuming that analytics has processed it, meaning if this user wasn't being processed, then it will not be captured. So it's just a very layman, digital term for this. Okay, so next let's look into the types of report that you'll be seeing. There is really two sets of reports that you'll be looking at. One is called the lifecycle set, and the other one is user set. I'm going to break down the lifecycle and user set in the next few slides, as you can see. Okay, so again on the lifecycle set, you'll be seeing acquisition, engagement, monetization, and retention. And then under the user sets of report, you'll be seeing demographics and text. And what do they do? So let's take a look at basically the life cycle ones. So acquisition report is what is part of the 4 that you'll see. So acquisition report provides you a window of users called the acquisition behavior conversion cycle. So basically this is where traffic comes from and how the channels perform. So here's an example of a report right now that you're seeing. If you're using your handphone, your smartphone, sorry, you won't be able to see anything. Hopefully you're viewing on PC. This is an example. Here's the example of what you're seeing. I'll just go through 3 things. The source, which shows where your users were before they arrive on your site or your app. So where did the source come from? Next thing it shows here is the medium. The medium shows the channel by which users arrive on your site. Channel can include things like organic, which is unpaid search. It can also include things like CPC, which is your cost per click, which are paid ads. The referrals, where they're coming from, whether it's coming from an email or an email campaign that you run, or none at all, which means someone typed out your entire website, your URL, which is a direct traffic. The third one, which is campaign, it shows you the campaign that referred a user to your site or your app to basically their latest or newest session. You can use this information to drive site content, overall content strategy, and Google Ads campaign, plus even advertising affiliation content. Just keep in mind though, don't get too caught up with these numbers, because I know when I'm a first newbie, I remember getting very overwhelmed by the numbers. I felt a bit stupid if you ask me. I would look at it and say, am I supposed to know everything in this or make sense of everything in this? So if I don't, and I call it quits because it's just too difficult for me to understand, and that's something that should not happen. At least I hope it won't happen to you guys. You should know that you're not required to know every single number. You're not required to understand everything that's being churned out, but you can ask, what am I looking at? What am I supposed to do with this data? And all these are aided if you go to the Google support site. Okay, so again, please don't be overwhelmed to a point where you say, maybe this is too difficult for me. Okay, now the engagement overview, which is also available. This is a dashboard overview of user engagement with your business from perspective of engagement and time. You're looking at session durations, screen and events, your screen viewed, which screen viewed most, which events triggered the most view often. These are the things that you're looking at in terms of engagement overview. You can also measure when users click on an account balance. You can also measure when users scroll down a page slowly, that indicates that they are reading. You can also watch an informational video in terms of a measurement. So you can use events to track basically each of your user interaction, and engagement report is useful so that you can measure user stickiness and use the insight to get the reports to improve your website. So there are 2 types of basically, if you notice your engagement rates are low, they're really just two things that you can look at in terms of identifying your issues. It could be a technical issue, it could be a strategic issue. So what if it's a technical issue? You could be looking at a confusing navigation that you need to fix. It could be, guys, your website is just too confusing. You need to have a master degree in order to serve that site. Then you know you need to kind of simplify things. It could be unresponsiveness. It could be the speed of your server. It's not going to happen with Exabyte, I'm sure. A lack of mobile optimization is another main reason why technical issues are slowing you down. Another one that you will be looking at in terms of fixing would be strategic reasons, like could the content be a problem? Maybe my content wasn't good enough to grab readers. It could be low quality graphics. Some of you just don't give second chance to, oh, this is poor graphics, or this is badly done, bad taste, I'm just going to leave the site and not come back. Could be poor keyword as well. So there are reasons and things that you can find out on Engagement Overview. On a Monetization Overview, it lets you see e-commerce subscriptions and ad revenue all at once in your monetization report. So here you can customize your monetization report using comparisons. For example, you want to look at purchasing habit of people in a particular country. That could be one. You can add that as a comparison from one country to another. You could also be seeing the price value, the price point of what is more sellable and what's not. So these are the things that you can do to set up revenue-based events before you can see any data. Okay? Retention Overview lets you see how frequently and how long new users engage with your website or even your mobile app after the first visit. Knowing your retention rate allows you to analyze your user metrics so that you can understand how and why customers return to your site and then milk it. When I say milk it, now you know the reasons, you know your special sauce, and that's the special ingredient that you're going to keep using. So use retention to refer to a percentage of new users who will return, and then user engagement refers to an average engagement time for new users. Okay, so that's what Retention Overview does. Now we move on to looking at the users themselves, right? So there is basically two types of report. This is going to the users, and here you'll be seeing what a demographic overview looks like. What it does is to help you clarify and classify your user by age, location, language, gender, and etc. Basically, it's knowing about your demographics of the user. The overview includes interactive charts, diagrams, tables to help you visualize your data. We recommend that you activate Google Signal to get more holistic demographics and interest data. And Google Signal is data from users who sign in to Google. Finally, under user as well, you will see tech overview. What does tech overview do? It shows you the tech that the user is using. It shows you the traffic by the technology your audience are using. So this data collects automatically when you connect your website with analytics. So it's a preset, right? So understanding the technologies your audience use can actually help you reach your consumer better and understand your consumer better so that you can either improve your current version, plan your upcoming implementation, and usually done widely needed by the web developer so that they understand your users. So for example, if you want to make sure that your site is fully functional in current browsers, but you also want to understand the extent to which users are migrating away, for instance, away from desktop and into mobile browsers. So you want to make sure that your website or your app is applicable to this migration. The device category is a type of device. It can even show you the type of device that's being used to serve your web or your app, and also the platform that it uses, including even the browser. So there are a lot of information this tech can provide. So on top of reports shared earlier, this is really my last two slides here. On top of the report shared earlier, Google Analytics can help you answer a load of questions. I mean, you're talking about which page within my site is the most visited, which is my most popular page. You can also be looking at which device are my customers using. Remember I said earlier about a tag? This is where it responds or answer you. Are they using laptop? Are they using mobile? Which browser are they using? I can see all that. You can also define or find out where your customers are coming from. If you have an e-commerce site and you are shipping or selling, basically worldwide, you might want to know which country are your customers coming from. And also, you might also want to know whether your social media is driving good performance to your website or not. So these are the things that you could do with analytics and more. When I say and more, I'm going to overwhelm you by saying the type of report, data, and information that you can churn out from just analytics is immense. The things that you can do it's crazy scary but crazy exciting at the same time. So really just a key takeaway what we've learned today. We know that web analytics has helped many people and even helped you to understand your visitor behaviors and also their trends on your website and measure how effective your sites and your digital marketing campaigns are. Google Analytics, it's free of charge. Big keyword right now, free of charge. The only thing you need to invest on is your time. That's what I ask you to do, your guts and your time, okay? And basically from there, you will see all the data about your website, your marketing channels, and your customers. Setting conversion events in analytics can give you insights into visitors' experience on your website. So setting conversion events is something I hope everyone can learn how to do. Again, this session alone will not give you enough, I guess, I use the words guts, will not give you enough guts or even content to say, I want to set really complex events. Don't start with that. I'd say start with something very straightforward. You can generate data on which page gets the most traffic. Maybe that could be a start, or whether users take specific action, or how long people visit your page. I mean, take all these so-called simpler events to set, okay? And Google Analytics can show you sources of your web traffic, what people click on, which pages they go to, when they leave your site, when do they come back. And you can use analytics to create custom URLs for even new marketing campaigns that you're going to set to track how many people click on them. All right? So basically, Google Analytics has got so much opportunities for your business. I cannot stress enough, but again, I'm given 1 hour. So what I want you to do, if you get a chance to try Google Analytics, if you're all excited, this is where you can go. You can start improving your analytics skill with free online courses. So what I say in 45 minutes, in an hour, you can now learn it in length and in detail on what you can do, and this is where you go to. You go to g.co/analytics academy, and this is where you will help, basically you learn about Google measurement tools. You can grow your business better through intelligent data collection analysis in a more detailed manner. So I promised you a handbook that you can download. This is the link for you to download the handbook. You can scan the QR code, but at the same time, what I'm going to do is put this on the chat. Let me do that. Okay. And then I will take a look at the answers, the questions as well. So I'm really at the end. And yes, Laureen, thank you for coming back and for saving me.
I thought you did wonderful. So yeah, let's just jump right into the questions. We have quite a few to tackle. So are you ready? Do you need a moment to take a sip of water or anything?
I will sip and you can ask the question as you go.
Okay, cool. So if you'd like to look at the Q&A on your end, that would be great as well. So this first one is from Benny. Now, Benny's question is, does Google Analytics indicate the visitor traffic coming from a specific keyword? And how do we enhance these keywords using Google Analytics?
It does. Okay, so your question is, does it indicate the visitors' traffic coming from specific keyword? Actually, Google Search Console would be a better place for you to go to look at a specific keywords that's coming to you. But yes, Google Search Console and Google Analytics can be combined. So if you're asking me specifically to a particular keyword that's being searched to come to your site, Google Search Console is actually a better place for you to go to. But yes, Google Search Console can be activated together with Analytics. So you're asking me a much more advanced question already, but for anyone here and everyone here, if you are already on Google Analytics, definitely activate Google Search Console. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this next one is from Leovo. I hope I pronounced it correctly and didn't butcher your name. Apologies if I did. So the question is, how do we change to the new Google Analytics?
Okay. So if you're on Universal, currently Universal Analytics, you are now able to set for Google GA4. How do you do that? You have to go to, you know what? Because it's a step by step. And would it be better if I give a link for them?
I think you could do that. You could just paste it
Yeah, I
into the
think I
chat.
would do that.
Yeah.
Let me. Okay. We'll go to the next question. If Leovel, sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong as well. I will give you a link. Let me get all these response, because if I teach you step by step right now, you're not going to be able to write it down. I'm going to give you a link, but let's do that when the session ends, so that I'm not taking time. How about that,
So you can
L'Oreal?
just
You
put
want
it in
to,
the chat.
because
Yeah, you put
yeah,
it in the chat
I
once
will
you're
I
done. No
will
worries.
yeah, I will reply. I can reply later, right? So
Yes,
we
yes.
can, yeah.
No worries. Okay, so let's move on to this next one from Jeremy. Now, Jeremy's question is you mentioned about not using personal accounts. Unfortunately, Jeremy says that he has used a personal account and he wants to transfer to a new company account. How can I transfer and retain the Google Analytics data for the company? Can I move it by adding the tracking ID to property?
No, you can't. Actually, once you have set the account to your email, I'm thinking you could create a permission to have someone else administer the same level of permission, and have someone. I say have someone else means have your business email account doing analytics. So you know how you can actually set permission for other people to manage your analytics as well. You could possibly try to create an admin, basically someone with the same level of permission as you, but using your business account. That's the first thing I would do if I were you. Once I'm able to see that work, then only I will remove my private account. I I've always said that, when you first started, just like me, I started that way. If you start a new account with the business account, new analytics with business account, you don't have the old data. That is the truth. So try starting a admin, giving a permission to a new admin. Like, I'm going to create an admin sharing the same admin permission as me. And if that admin is logged in and all ready to go, then you can exit. I think that's what I would do. Okay, your next
Okay.
question is how can I move it by adding tracking ID to property? It's different, yeah. Tracking ID to properties, it all sits in your own entity. When I say your own entity, means your analytics account. So if Jeremy has a Jeremy.Chang account currently using Google Analytics, it's not about giving this tracking ID to another person, or maybe now your company name, and say that you're giving an access. It doesn't work that way. Okay.
Okay, thank you for
Right.
answering that. Now, we had this question from KH Tan. Now, the question is, if I'm not currently using Google Analytics 4, we can change to Google Analytics 4, yes? And will the current data migrate?
Okay. Good question. Glad you asked. Now I'm going to sound a little bit more intelligent answering it. So, Universal Analytics, which is the older version, and the current GA4 are totally separate system. Okay? Totally separate system means it's not an upgrade where you can have all the data from UA follow to GA4. They are separate, they are parallel system. So when you say migrate, you mean running them side by side. Eventually, you might, eventually, I'm saying eventually, I'm not sure when, UA may not exist eventually, right? So for now, what you need to do if you say you want to get GA4, I'm going to post it to Lovell's basically question, and then you'll be able to see how you can start Google Analytics 4, but side by side UA, your Universal Analytics, which is the older version. Okay? Did I answer that?
Okay.
I think I did.
Yes.
Okay.
So this next one is from Brian. So Brian's question is, how far can Google Analytics support Google Data Studio?
Oh, they are side by side. So meaning they are all part of the marketing, the Google platform. They're all part of it. When you say support, they are of the same family. So if you are using Google Analytics tagging, or should I say that, okay, you have Google Tag Manager, or this question is going to scare everyone. Basically, they work hand in hand. And yes, in fact, when you have two of them running side by side, you will be taking advantage of each other. So yes, they work side by side. In fact, they work better together. So when you say how far, I'm not sure how to answer that, but they do work together. Yes.
All right, nice. Jeremy made a point to clarify in the chat just now that he didn't actually use a personal account. It was just hypothetically speaking. My bad, Jeremy. Okay, so this next one is from Sue. Hi, Sue. Sue was here yesterday as well. So the question is, what's the difference between Google Analytics versus Google Search Console versus Google Tag Manager, and when to use which?
I use all three of them, and here's why. So Google Analytics manage everything that's within your website. You're talking about a customer coming in, what they do within your website. It's only done by Google Analytics. Google Tag Manager cannot help you, and Google Search Console cannot help you. So again, Google Analytics analyzes everything within that website, the patterns, your users, basically visitation, the demographics, and etc. So everything I presented. Google Tag Manager, it's like tagging, the process of tagging. So for you, you might have a 5-page website. So you don't need Google Tag Manager if you have a 5-page website, because all you have is really just 5 page to tag. But what if you have a 50-page site, which means you have 50 different buttons that you can link on? So Google Tag Manager helps you tag these 50 pages and provide you certain filtration. So it's like, I want to be able to call a successful conversion if someone went to this page and downloaded this white paper. So that's what Tag Manager does. It really just follows your process in tagging where you want to collect data, right? So Google Analytics analyze and give you the insights. Tagging helps you tag and collect data, where to collect them from. Search Console is a totally different purpose, and Search Console is for people searching for you. So they're not on your website yet. So you want to know whether someone searched for a particular keyword that came to your site. You want to know when they click on the search word, did they go straight to your main page or did they go to a product page? So this is what Search Console does. So they are 3 different tools. They all have 3 different purposes. They're all extremely important. So scary, right? So it's basically saying you have to learn all of them. But really, if you want to maximize digital, you want to maximize these 3 tools, I would say I would use Search Console first. For me, I would start with Search Console because I kind of want to know what people are searching for when they come to me. I would want to learn analytics because I want to know the patterns, especially if I have e-commerce site, I have sites that I'm actually selling online. If you're talking about a site that is just data churning, meaning people are just coming in to scroll, visit my page and not really having conversion actions, that they're not actually selling, then Search Console first. Else, I would always want to learn about my audience. That's why I would take analytics. And then lastly, I would do Tag Manager. Tag Manager is more technical. Yeah, so that's...
Okay, thank you for answering that. I think you have this flair about you that just, you answer things and you just make it so easy to understand. And that's a wonderful thing, It's just so nice to listen to you.
It's so scary when I first learned Google, basically the tools, and I'm in a class or I'm in a session where everyone is talking technical terms and I feel like, oh, this is like an alien language to me. Then I think what I did was I then learned how can I make sense out of this in real business term. And then I realized, okay, then it's not so difficult once you understand the logic of it. What I'm hoping to do is to explain to you guys the more logical way of seeing it. Okay.
Like in layman's terms, So thank you for doing that for us, because even I'm not very well versed in this, but I actually find myself understanding what you're saying. So that's a really, really amazing thing. Let's go to Karen's questions. Now, Karen sent in a whole bunch of questions. I'm not sure we can answer all of them because there are a few more good ones in the bottom of that. So Karen, we're going to answer a few of yours first. So her question is, let me just see. Okay, is the new version of Google Analytics able to track social media to analyze performance?
Okay, so to be fair, any analytics tools must first be given permission, right? So that's the basic, right? You need to be given permission. So if you're asking me, can Google Analytics track, say, a social media, say a Facebook on Instagram? Well, you're not going to be given permission to go in there to see the data from them. That's why they have their own analytics tools themselves. So the social media would have their own analytics tools. Where you can track is when they come in from a social media site. So Google can say, oh, this came from a post that you did in Facebook, for instance, right? and I can track that it came in from there. But if you want to ask me what they did in the social media, then I will not be given it permission. You will not be able to enter the tracking code. Remember, you're supposed to put the tracking code like a permission key or a passcode. You're not going to be able to enter that, which is why, no, you can't track what is happening in another social media site, but you can track when it came from the social media site.
Okay. Makes sense, makes sense. Now, Karen has another question. Does the changes to Apple iOS impact Google Analytics? And how does Google Analytics approach these changes?
Wow, this is like a PR question. I don't know how they do it, but I know they do it. It's a constant upgrade. I mean, you're talking about even with Google Analytics, right? Everything I teach you today in 2 months, maybe even in 3 weeks, they may have an upgrade. So it's a constant upgrade, and Google is committed to constantly upgrade themselves as well. So all these changes by whether is it a new even browser, whether it's a new gadget or a new OS, it's a constant upgrade for everyone to just keep themselves abreast. How they do it, the tech team will have to tell you. I'm not genius there, but it is a constant. It's almost survival, right? Even for all of us who are in this call today, it's survival. It's survival because we know if we don't change, we're not going to make it. So my answer is it's a constant change. They do that. It's everything happening in the back end. It's rocket science on their own. I am not in my capacity to answer how they do it, but yes, they are always keeping themselves abreast.
All right, absolutely super. I think we're going to squeeze in 2 more questions before I let you go. So many good ones. This next one is from Kaylee. Now, Kaylee's question is, if I would like to set and track different sources of traffic from the same channel, for example, different YouTube channels from different influencers, where should I start in terms of settings?
Okay, that's technical. I will give you a link where you will learn, because you're not just sourcing it from your own web page. You are actually trying to find out whether your traffics or your crowd are coming from different influencers. I will give you a link where you can learn all that. It's a very lengthy answer, Laurie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just take this last one from Rachel. Now, this is a pretty good question. Rachel's question is, hi, if we have a corporate websites and an online sales website, should we create 2 separate accounts with Google Analytics? What are the basic requirements in terms of settings of hardware, software, and etc.? And if a website is old and not mobile friendly, will it be linked to Google Analytics? If not, what should we do? Thank you.
Okay, so first question is, you have a corporate website and an online website. If they are both on different domain, different system, then of course you will have to set up the analytics differently. So remember just now you had an example of the game. You sort of flooded the game. So this company, the gaming company, has a marketing website. They also have the app. And you can physically put them all under the same account, but under different data streams or within the properties. So if you are having 2 websites and there are 2 different domains and 2 different basically purpose of the website, then you will be setting 2 different accounts. One for the website, for your corporate, the other one for your sales site, your e-commerce sale. So I would do 2 separate accounts. And you can actually create 2 separate accounts using one user. So you don't have to say, I have a user creating one account means I have to create another user to create another account. Just like advertising agencies where you're managing multiple accounts, you can do that. You can manage multiple accounts by one user. Okay? Basic requirement. Oh, hardware. I can't answer that because I don't know what requirements are your system. So I can't answer the hardware and software. At least I don't know. I need to really sit down with you if I need to understand that. And if a website is old and not mobile friendly, will it be linked to Google Analytics? It will, but you shouldn't. So this is something I would say to you. If you're going to be learning Google Analytics and starting Google Analytics and your website is not mobile friendly, fix the mobile friendly first, then start Google Analytics. Because I think the priority right now is to make sure that everybody can get to your website and not, I want to learn about people on my website. How about you first fixing the fact that everybody must get to your website or be able to serve the website? Have you ever gone to a website on your phone? I mean, this is a full potential company and you thought you're going to give them business. You went to the phone and then you couldn't serve the site at all because it was just not mobile friendly. you're not going to give this guy a second chance. So Rachel, if I were you, I'll fix the fact that it's not mobile friendly first before I put my efforts. Or if you have enough efforts to do both, then do both. Okay, Lauren, I know there are a lot of questions and I promise to stay to answer them, but I will answer them on the chat. Would that be better? And then we can move to our next speaker because I'm taking up everyone's time, I know.
Actually, we're just about 2 minutes behind right now because we started a little bit late today. But actually, you can answer them in the Q&A. All you have to do is just go inside and click on type answer so you can answer once your session is done. But I think right now we have to wrap things up. So Zeen, I would like to thank you for your time here. I loved how down to earth you were. It was just so funny at certain points. So, I found myself giggling, behind the scenes here. But I absolutely loved every single moment of it. It was so nice to meet you and I can't wait to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you, Lauren.
All right. You have a great day now.
Okay,
Bye.
Exabytes. Grow your business online.